A Year in Mourning is a movie about a man who goes literally a year in mooring, a year alone in a harbor where he goes into the winter of his soul. And I say that like kind of hopefully lightly because it's a beautiful movie, and it's a beautiful movie about someone who's going through the worst thing a human being can go through, and he's putting himself in a jail, and he's putting himself oddly in this very beautiful jail, but the complexity of it, or the challenge of it, is to tell a story without dialogue. I mean, he's really alone going through descent into madness, and it's got references to movies like Into the Wild and Jeremiah Johnson, and it's a strange little piece of European poetry, Scandinavian in a way. And I think there are people who will find this movie amazing, and people who find it just not their cup of tea, and I think that's okay. We weren't trying to make a Hollywood movie. We're not trying to make a movie with really any answers. I think when someone goes through something like this, they don't have a lot of answers. They're damaged. What happened was, it's one of those that they came to me and they said, I don't know why they chose me, but they came to me and said, would I like to do it? And I immediately read it and I was like, absolutely, this is amazing. I never thought they were going to make it, though, because you get a lot of these beautiful independent scripts that are really, really good, but people can't fund them anymore. They just can't get the money for them. So I literally was like, absolutely, I'd love to do it. Great, never assuming it was going to happen. And then Sally Jo, the producer of this movie, made it happen. And basically a lot of it was because she found people like myself who were really passionate about pouring their soul into it and risking and trying something that was not easily. There's nothing commercial about this movie really, and yet that's the beauty of it. That's the art of it, I guess you could say, and that's also the challenge of it too. But it was not something I really was surprised when it happened, and then felt a tremendous challenge to make it not indulgent, which some people could say it still is, but I think that we did our best considering the nature of what the real story is and the pain that the real guy is in, and so. It's funny, I would really love to do a Sweet Home Alabama again. I really would. I really would love to do something that's fun and playful, and, these days, those movies, it's highly competitive, the business is so, and yet at the same time, you search for these little strange gems that, even if they're kind of personal and no one sees them, they end up being an incredible process for everyone involved, and you hope people don't lose money on them. But you sure as hell aren't doing them for money because no one's being paid. Look, theater is the same way. You do theater because you love it, not because you expect it's going to make money. And yet there are moments commercially where I would love to be able to have access to some of those bigger commercial, playful products, really, because in a sense that's what the studio movies are, and that's fine. That's good. I would love it to make some fun ones. I think it's honestly not just tough for me, it's tough for everybody. I mean, the reality is, look, right now I'm doing Clint Eastwood's movie J. Edgar with Leonardo DiCaprio, and what it came down to a fight to get this movie, and every movie I think and probably there was a lot of people fighting for, major movie stars fighting for Leonardo's part as well. That's the reality of the business, and so if you take it personally, it becomes really destructive, self-destructive. So, but it is an inherently competitive business. That's why the money probably is as high as it is sometimes, but also why there are times where you not only don't make any money, you don't have any work. Not everybody is Kobe Bryant, you know what I mean? And I say that because you're not always on a winning record, and yet there are times where I'm sure he feels incredibly driven, the same way I imagine, Leonardo feels incredibly driven, and why he's taking the incredible risk that he's doing with the way he's playing J. Edgar, in a great way, really impressed. And that's the truth of the business.